Hello and thank you for joining us from wherever you are. We are live from our studios here in Kokomlemle on digital address GA0992539. Our top stories this are: Electoral Commission dismisses rumors that it used old biometric verification devices in the ongoing voter registration. We bring you the very latest from the Commission. Also, Ghana is set to be an automobile hub with big names like and security forces in the capital gear up to enforce face mask laws weeks after it was passed. But what has triggered this move and how will expected results be realized? We speak to Kole Clotte, MCE. My name is Daniel Dazi. This is The Pulse. Welcome. We begin with the biggest event in December, and the Electoral Commission has again refuted claims that it is using old biometric voter registration machines for the ongoing registration exercise. Dr. Eric Bosman-Asare, Deputy Chairman for Corporate Services of the EC, in a briefing said it's pure fabrication to speculate that the BVRs were not new when no one tried to authenticate such misleading information with the Commission.
To still clear the air on this, the Commission acquired from Thales DIS 8,000 biometric voter registration kits and another 530 as spares. So in total, 8,530 biometric voter registration kits. As we sit here now, over 90% of the kits are being used for the registration at our registration centers, our district offices, and the rest are being kept as backup in the various districts. In as much as scrutinizing the work of the Commission is important, we as a Commission we appreciate because it's an accountability institution. People should be able to scrutinize, examine the work we do. We urge all Ghanaians, including civil society organizations, to do so with a high level of professionalism and candor. But you can't just sit anywhere and assume that we are not doing the right thing. You need to investigate and make sure you have the accurate information. Any questions about the Electoral Commission using old BVR kits in this registration exercise is overly pedestrian. And it clearly shows that those making allegations either do not know the difference between the old and the new kits or are simply being mischievous. One distinguishing feature of the BVR kits is that the scanners are either green bricks or Kojak. The current registration we are doing, the scanners are either green bricks or Kojak, and these are the scanners we are using. The computers are of different brands, and the batteries are completely different. The current laptops are Dell, while the former BVRs were HP. So these are completely different kits. So I even have pictures of the kits for everyone to see. The old kits, the batteries are removable. This one, the batteries are embedded. So you can see pictures of the new kits. They are so different from the old one. So the Commission finds it very, very strange that people will still make those allegations. The Commission is challenging anyone who has evidence it is using any of the old kits in this registration to show us the centers. Since those who are making the allegations, they are saying the centers are about 40%. That means currently in Greater Accra, nationally we are operating in 6,000, no, plus the district office almost 6,900 centers. And 40% should be about almost 3,000, or let's say 2,500. So that means these are things we can easily identify. So those who are saying that the Commission is using some of the old kits should give us the centers and we'll go there and remove those kits. We are presently registering in almost 7,000 centers, and the kits are the newly procured ones. And when you look at it, the kits have been distributed equally in all the regions based on the population or the number of centers in the regions.
Now, contrary to concerns about the exercise from some quarters, Dr. Bosman-Asare said the EC believes the exercise has gone according to plan. He also gave an update on the current numbers registered.
Today happens to be the 18th of the registration. So as of the 16th, which happens to be this last Wednesday, the Commission has registered a total of 7,279,237. 7,297,237. That's 7.2. That's a lot of people. The Greater Accra region leads with 1,524,600. 1,524,600. Followed by the Ashanti region, 1,319,498. Four of the regions constitute almost 60% of the registered voters. And these are the Greater Accra region, the Ashanti region, the Eastern region, and the Central region, almost 58 point something to 59%. Below are the total numbers registered per region. Ahafo, 144,961, constituting 1.6. Ashanti, 1,319,498, constituting 18.1. Bono, 293,284, constituting 4%. Bono East, 261,503, 3.6%. Central, 676,484, 9.3. Eastern, 694,541, 9.5. Greater Accra, 1,524,600, 20.9. Northern region, 434,601, 6%. Northeast, 123,715, 1.7%. Otik, 148,111, 2%. Savannah, 126,980, 1.7%. Upper East, 251,134, 3.5%. Upper West, 194,894, 2.7. Volta, 147,254, 6.1%. Western, 440,858, 6.1%. Western North, 196,809, 2.7. So the total registered stands at 7 million. Total registered as of Wednesday, the 15th of July, 7,297,237, constituting almost 48.5% of our projected 15 million. When you look at the figures, what is very clear is that we have approximated them. So although Volta region and Western region, they are all 6.1%, the Volta region is leading the Western region by almost 6,700 and something votes. So we do approximation. Those who did mathematics in school, you remember some of this. So what we've registered so far constitutes 48.5% of the 50 million the Commission expects to register by the first week of August.
Still live on the Pulse. Now let's take a closer look at some of these numbers, especially where we are talking about the source documents for registration. And if you take a look at the numbers here, you realize that the largest percentage of source documents used to register here is the Ghana card. 63.8% of persons who have voter ID cards now use the Ghana card as their source document. The next one were those who had guarantors. That's 34.4%. And then the last, of course, being the passports, 1.8%. Now, this is not totally surprising. I'm talking about the passport numbers specifically because we know that close to about 2 million Ghanaians in total have passports. So we always expected that number to be small, especially if you want to register a total of about between 16 and 17 million people. But this number, this 63.8% representing a Ghana card, has been touted by a number of experts as a success of the work that has been done by the National Identification Authority. It tells you that a number of people have these Ghana cards, contrary to some of the controversy that was raised by some sections of the public, particularly from the opposition NDC. Now, this particular number has been touted by the Electoral Commission. It also means that you may not get that many people going to the various registration centers, because if you're going to go there with 2 guarantors, that's more people than if you're going there alone with just your Ghana card. So that's the quick representation of the numbers there. 63.8% registering with Ghana card, 1.8% registering with passports, and 34.4% registering with their guarantors. Of course, this represents the first 16 days of the registration exercise. The first 16 days of the registration exercise. Quite a few more phases to go, and so we'll keep monitoring the numbers and let you know. Now let's take you to the ground, where some NDC members in the Menchia North constituency in Kumasi are raising concerns about what they see as overlapping centers in the ongoing voters registration exercise. Now, they say some centers known in the past to be in the Tafo-Pankrono constituency have now been cited in Menchia North, whose centers find themselves in Tafo-Pankrono. Now, NDC parliamentary aspirant Hamza Swala is worried that constituents who are unaware of the changes may end up registering in the wrong constituencies. He wants swift action from the Electoral Commission to address the challenge.
All new polling stations were created, and for that matter, they have to start working on the day of registration. So my people, or the people in Moshizongo, most of them trooped to Afriku's Barbering Center, which is named, officially gazetted in the books of EC, that place is a polling station for Moshi's in Menchia North.
Mr. Swala says though the EC has promised to resolve the issue, information available suggests otherwise.
We had call from other people that the people of Tafo constituency are claiming that the Afrikus belongs to Tafo constituency, but rather not Menchia North constituency. It's something that we don't get it clear. So we came there and we saw that there are 3 polling stations in a row. Polling station 1, which is the Afriku's polling station, is from Moshizongo. And after that, there is Ibadia. That one is a polling station created for Tafo constituency. And in that same premises, there's another polling station called the Unity International. That one too is for Menchia North constituency. You know, so it's 3 polling stations. First one is for Menchia North constituency. Second one is for Tafo constituency. And the third one too is for Menchia North constituency. So we had issues on that. We called on the EC boss that's opening. We talked to him and he said he will resolve it. That's fine with us. So everything went off yesterday. Today we had a call again from the Aru telling us that his boss has told him not to start work here, but that he should move to Unity International to start working. The gazetted name Afriku's Barbering Center, which is captured in the book of EC, that place will be given to the people of Tafo constituency. But brother, looking at this thing, it's not done anywhere. The people in this area are all crying out that it cannot be done, and they cannot just take it just like that.
The NDC parliamentary aspirant says he has had to calm nerves of agitated youth to allow the law to take its course.
Most people were here this morning fighting and crying out to the good people. You know, yesterday we started late with the same issue. The EC boss of Tafo came here telling us that we should move to that end, whilst they will bring the polling station of Tafo to Afrikus. So meanwhile, Afrikus is here in Moshizongo. It cannot be given to Tafo. So with that, we see it to be something difficult for us to handle.
Some other residents expressed their sentiments.
they've gazetted a new polling station called Badria JHS polling station. That instead of they giving to Mensha in addition, they gave it to Tafo constituency instead, and it overlapped. If you can see, this is Africus and the Badria is far at the far end. So how can this place be Kumase and the other end be Tafo? It clearly there was an omission or an error somewhere. So I personally alerted the electoral supervisor here somewhere last week, and he told me they would work on it. He was in consultation with the supervisor for the other municipal, which is Tafo, so they will rectify it. Only to be told yesterday that they couldn't rectify the situation, and as such, they are giving this portion of land we are standing on now to Tafo constituency. And so they are moving this Africus polling station to the other end, closer to Unity polling station. So I said, no, this is raising an alarm. What I knew was that the boundaries for the constituency was not touched. The boundaries of every constituency still remained at where it is. So why was it that ours was being touched? This place has been Menshanov since Menshanov was created.
A report by Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin.
Now, the Savannah Regional Branch of the ruling New Patriotic Party has refuted allegations of trying to register ineligible prospective voters in the ongoing registration exercise. Now, according to the party, the allegations of attacks, discrimination, and busing of unqualified people to various registration centers in the region, particularly Damongo, is a ploy adopted by the opposition National Democratic Congress, NDC, to dent the reputation of the NPP in the region. The Regional Communications Officer, Issa Mohammed, said this in a counter-press briefing in Damongo in the Savannah region.
The armchair regional executives claims the New Patriotic Party is busing people from across the country into Damongo and Daboya constituencies for the purpose of the ongoing registration. This is a palpable falsehood, ladies and gentlemen. It is only the noisy NDC that will put out such falsehood in the face of glaring, incontrovertible evidence to the contrary. Fact, on Saturday, just this past Saturday, that's the 11th of this month, 3 buses were intercepted by some vigilant Damongo youth on this very day, on its way into Damongo. When accosted, the occupants confessed that they were rented from Accra by the NDC candidate and transported to the registration to be registered in Damongo constituency. The research assistant of the Member of Parliament for Damongo, Mr. Kudus, was later identified as the one that led the said activity. The said buses were accompanied to the police station and the case was reported accordingly. How then would anyone accuse the NPP of doing exactly what the shameful political party as NDC is doing?
Now, he was of the view that the current Member of Parliament for Damongo, Adam Mutawakilu, has over the years taken the people for granted and has very little works to show for his numerous promises. He said the people have identified with a reliable and excellent young man who stops at nothing to care for his people, but the NDC will not spare him with the insults.
Let me state without any equivocation that the incoming Member of Parliament for Damongo, Lawyer Samuel Abuja, is the problem of the NDC in Damongo. Yes. He's the sole reason for the charade they staged yesterday. But let it be known that what the Almighty God has put together, no man of blood can dare put apart. Not even the evil of all humans can survive it. Every constituent of Damongo is alert to the neglect and disdain that the current MP, Honorable Mutawakilu, visited on the people in his 2-term misery of MPship. Until the coming of Lawyer Abujinapo, the Honorable MP, he took the people for granted and did very little or nothing for the people. Today, the people have identified with a reliable and an excellent young man who stops at nothing to care for his people, and all we see and hear are insults upon insults. Lawyer Abu Jinapur has been vilified unjustly by the NDC for his relentless efforts at helping the poor and the vulnerable. These recent attacks at him is no different. It forms part of the normal grieving process. These recent attacks, I say, are part of the normal grieving process of any human being who is dying.
Now, you're still live on The Pulse here on the JoyNews channel. Let's take another look at some critical numbers. Now, we just came from the Savannah region, capital of Damongo. There has been some controversy there, but interestingly, it doesn't seem to reflect in the number of challenges that have been issued in that part of the country. Let's go over to the screen here and take another look at these figures. Now, if you look here at what's going on, the Savannah region, which is green here, has only 371 challenges since the beginning of the process from day 1 to 16. It's no surprise the region that has the largest number of challenges, which is the Greater Accra region, of course, that has the largest population totally. It's 2,174, representing 18.4% of all the challenges that have been made since this process began. Notable among which also you have here the Volta region had 1,359. The Ashanti region had 1,465. The Ashanti region having 12.4% of all the numbers that have been challenged. The total number on the bottom right of the screen is in bright white with a red background there, 11,818. This, of course, is a huge number if you look at it on its own, but it represents a mere 0.2% of the number of people who have registered in total, which we heard from Dr. Bosman Asari today to be a total of 7,279,000 persons. Of course, I'm approximating there, so it's about 7.2 million in total. So these are the numbers as we have them. The number of challenges reflecting loosely the population share when it comes to the number of people who have registered in the country. But of course, it's interesting that you find some really large numbers from places like the Volta region with 1,359, not a very large part of the country, I must say. The northern region also has 1,044, not a very large region. You want to look out for the most populous places in the country, the Greater Accra region being number 1, the Ashanti region being number 2, and it's reflected in there. But it's followed closely by the Volta region, which is not the third largest region in the country. Really, you would expect regions like the Western region and the Western North together combining to give you a large figure. But here we have a total of about 932 from these two regions, which used to be one, of course. The Western region has 420. The Western North region has 512. The Western North region has only about 4.3% of all the persons who have been challenged in total. Look at this 9.6% representing the Central region, 1,135. Now, of course, the Central region now becomes a very populous region on its own, since it was not split in the creation of these 6 new regions that we have. So you'd expect that it will also feature highly. Of course, some analysts would also say that it represents the controversy and the contention, the keen competition that already exists in these parts of the country. The Central region already is known to vote in the president at any time that we are going to have a change in power. Voted heavily for the NPP in 2000, voted heavily for the NDC in 2008, went back to the NPP in 2016. Let's go on and look at some other analysis that we can do with these numbers. Now, we're going to look at the 2020 voter registration statistics. These are the numbers representing the number of people who have registered in total. Another very interesting reading here, 1.5 million coming from the Greater Accra region. No surprises there. This is the most populous region when it comes to numbers. I'm going to skip you to the Ashanti region, second largest region, 1.3 million people registering from the Ashanti region. You want to take a close look at these regions because in a way, they tell you the voter turnout that the strongholds of the parties would expect. Normally, you would expect the Ashanti region to vote massively for the NPP in the coming election, 1.3 million people. The NPP has been known to get north of 90% of total votes coming from this region. The Eastern region, 694,541, also an NPP stronghold. The Volta and Oti regions are known very well to be NDC strongholds. So are the three northern regions, which have now become more than three, of course. I'm now counting about 5 regions in the enclave. You have the Upper East, Upper West, the Upper West and Upper East. You have the Savannah region, the Northeast region, and you have the Northern region traditionally. So you have 126,000 people coming from the Northern region, 434,000 people coming from the Savannah region. And of course, you have the, pardon me, it's 434,000 coming from the Northern region, and the Savannah region having 126,000. You have the Ahafo region registering 144,961. You have also 261,503 coming in there right above in the Bono East region. And the Bono region itself has 293,284. These are very populous areas. Now, these 3 regions are also likely to select who would be the president in the coming election, where these 3 clusters vote together, where the central region votes, where these 2 regions would also vote. So you want to look closely at the numbers there. 440,858 coming in from the Western region. The Western region currently has almost nearly routed the NDC in terms of parliamentary seats. Traditional NDC seats from 2000 have been swept by the NPP in the last election. The NPP would look to repeat that performance in December. And if they are able to do that, they have close to 440,000 already registered there in just 16 days of this exercise. Remember, this exercise is running till the first week of August. So there's still a lot more time to go. This is how the chips are falling if you talk about the raw number of people who have registered in these parts of the country. Of course, you can trust your election headquarters to keep you updated on all issues that have to do with elections, all the analysis that we need. You're still live here on The Pulse. We need to go on and, of course, have this conversation, like I told you, about the automotive industry generally in Ghana. Now, I pulled up a few statistics that this is actually not the first time we've tried doing this. Ghana's first vehicle assembly plant was opened in Accra on February 2nd, 1969. Now, there was a daily graphic publication of February 3, Autopass vehicle assembly plant, which was then Ring Road North Industrial Area, not very far from Kokomeme where we are. It was equipped to produce 600 Nissan cars, 600 buses, pickups, and trucks a year. It assembled only Nissan vehicles with components from Japan. Perhaps it's no wonder why currently Nissan commands about 32% of the automobile market in Ghana. Well, what happened then? What is going to happen now? How can we do things differently? Joshua Pokwa Jemai, General Secretary, Vehicle Asset Dealers Union of Ghana, is in studio with us. Joshua? Hello. Good afternoon, welcome.
Good afternoon, and thank you.
All right. Also joining us today via Zoom is Kofi Bonso-Adayeboa, Chief Executive of Wheel Hub Automotive. Now, I understand, Kofi, that what you do is that you import vehicles and you also do automotive cosmetic works. What is that?
Okay, thank you so much, Daniel, for the opportunity to speak with Ghanaians. If I say automotive cosmetic works, as the word cosmetic suggests, it's anything that kind of beautifies a vehicle. So basically, body works, spraying, detailing, customization, anything that kind of enhances the aesthetic look of vehicles. That's what we mean by cosmetic works.
All right. So he's an importer and he does cosmetic work on a vehicle. He's also a member of the Mercedes-Benz Club Ghana. I'm sure he's posting a very nice Mercedes in his garage now. So just tell us, you are with the vehicle dealers, assets dealers. So what generally is the scope of your work as vehicle asset dealers?
Well, thank you very much, and I want to greet your viewers. Generally, what we do is we import mainly repairable salvaged vehicles into the country, and we also rebuild or we reassemble depending on the damage and the issue with the car. Most often, the cars that we bring here have minor dents. And so you would have to change a fender, a bumper, or a windscreen, and respray it. And sometimes you also have to change a key and reprogram a key for it. So this is what we also do. And
quite similar to what Kofi does, I must say.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's the same thing.
So yeah, Kofi would be sort of a member of your association. Right. Now, since we have you here as the association, I was reading about the Ghana Automotive Manufacturing Development Program, GAMDP, which, you know, is that policy that was put together by government to create that enabling environment for all of these different factories we are talking about to thrive in the country. This is the basis on which we are seeing promises from all of these different brands that are going to come into the country. Josh, what do you make of this policy? First of all, were you consulted? And are you satisfied with the finished work?
Well, I want to say that we were part of the formation, the drafting stage of this policy, and we were consulted during the meetings in about a year and a half now to date. However, we realized that the input that we wanted in there and our suggestions and concerns were not considered in any way. And so we realized that this policy comes out only to protect the assemblers and the manufacturers.
By the assemblers, you mean the big brands like your Toyota and your
VW, Renault, Sinotruk, and the other ones we are expecting. So you realize that this policy protects them, and then it gives them incentives, and also explains a lot of terms that is used in their industry, leaving us aside. So I would say that this policy was mainly a policy drafted for the assemblers and manufacturers, since our inputs can't be found anywhere in there.
So when you say it protects these players in the industry, how does it do that? And how is that detrimental to the work that you do?
Okay. I would say that when I put it that way, that it's protective to them, that it means that incentives given to them, for instance, rebates on imported SKDs and CKDs and enhanced SKDs, and also the 5 to 10 years tax holidays that are being given to them, ban of the products that we also deal in,
which are the salvage vehicles.
Yes, salvage vehicles, and also to place a ban on overage vehicles, 10 years and above. You realize that all that I'm mentioning is to support and protect the entry of a sect or a particular group of assemblers into the industry. And so when I say that they are protecting them, that means that it means that that policy is solely to protect them. And this is rather unfortunate that this protection which is being given to them through this policy is going to kill our business or collapse our business eventually, because we are being discouraged. For instance, if you are to even import clean titles, as the act which...
What's a clean title?
A clean title simply means a car which hasn't been involved in any form of issue or occurrences. I can lower it down a bit to say that if it hasn't been involved in a hailstorm, theft, vandalism, if nobody has hit the taillight before or hasn't had any issue with a motor crash, any other occurrences. So then that means that that car has a clean title.
So they are also affected in the policy?
Yes.
How?
As a matter of fact, everything in the policy there the policy was used to amend the Act 891 2015 into Act 891 2020, the Customs Amendment Act. And you realize that what they want to do with that act is similar to what is in the policy. Okay. It's similar to what is in the policy. By banning these cars, as I'm saying, and then introducing certificate of conformance and all that to discourage the importation of these salvaged cars that we deal in.
Right.
Okay, so you realize that this clean title thing is there in the definition of the Act 891, Section 151. You realize that the definition is so clear and it is there that we are to bring clean title cars. Only.
Interesting. And let me get what Kofi thinks joining us on Zoom. So quite eye-opening here, the conversation we are having. Tax holidays for these companies. There's also a ban on salvaged vehicles, a ban on overaged vehicles. Only clean titles, which are basically cars that have not been involved in any accident or hailstorm or fender benders. Only those clean titles can be brought in. Kofi, do you agree with Joshua here that this will destroy your business?
Yes, Daniel, I totally agree with my brother there. I have a section of the Act which says that it's sort of kind of defines what a salvage motor vehicle is. So it says salvage motor vehicles means a motor vehicle which A, has been wrecked, destroyed, or physically damaged by collision, fire, water, or any other occurrence, and B, does not have a clean title. Okay, so yes, so it's just like what he has said. If you go onto the auction site and you look for vehicles that have a clean title, it's basically vehicles that haven't been involved in any kind of collision or any kind of accident before. Okay, and they suggest that if you are buying a vehicle which has, for instance, maybe there's just a side mirror off, or maybe just a crack on the screen, it's not classified as a clean title because something has happened to it. So, and I think it's a bit harsh because if I should buy a vehicle with a broken windscreen from the US and import to Ghana, and I'm told that this is a salvage vehicle, so you can't allow it, I honestly don't see how that makes sense. So I think, yes, he's right. It is really destroying our business, and in the long run, it's going to cause a lot of problems for us.
But in Ghana, with some of the big brands that are coming in, what they are doing is that they are partnering with their dealerships to set up these manufacturing entities, so that the people who already profit from the sale of cars in the country are sort of looking to tap into the industry. Is there no way that you can also tweak the business model to benefit from this new way of doing things?
Well, I would say that we've always been here with these dealerships. They've been there. And every automobile industry in any country is segmented. You have the group of people who patronize a section of these particular cars we're talking about, brand new cars and slightly used cars. That has been there, and it's been there. Every country has a segmented market like that. And so if, for instance, they've been dealing in these brand new cars, advantage to them is that now they have their counterparts, their manufacturers or assemblers here in Ghana to assemble. God being so good, they have incentives which will help them minimize the cost and make them affordable for the Ghanaian populace. So why then are they afraid of competition? Why then don't they stick to the segment of the market which all these while have been patronizing their product? In this case, we're talking about these big institutions and governmental institutions. Hope you get me? Okay. And we have a sector of the populace we are also supplying a product to, and we target. And it's normally the middle class and the lower class, whose income and salaries, for that matter, are very low. And so if we move to adjust ourselves, probably, to their level, that in that case, who will serve the lower and the middle classes, which happens to be our target.
Now, import replacement, we understand, Kofi, is one of the main ideas. The question, and Joshua was asking a question about why is there a fear to compete, but the question is, And experts would say that the market already is very small. We understand that only 450,000 units are imported into the sub-region per year. And so it will be difficult for these companies to thrive and, make the money and hire people whilst we are still importing cars into the country. Is that not the case?
Well, I believe that there's a market for brand new cars. There's a market for used cars, okay? And in our part of the world, unfortunately or fortunately, the market is bigger for the used cars, basically because of the standard of living here at the moment, okay? Well, I think this whole idea of bringing companies in to assemble brand new cars is a step in the right direction. But my problem is the way they are going about it could rather cause more harm than good. Okay, so they will make their money. Those bringing in, those assembling the cars will make their money. Because, of course, remember, there are already dealerships that are selling brand new cars and they have their customer base already. So I think they will make their money. I'm sure they've done their own analysis and all that, and they have enough reason to think that this will thrive here. But for me, I think that do not ban completely salvage cars. So just like my brother said in the studio, even in the advanced countries, even in the US, they haven't banned salvage cars. There are a lot of assembling plants there. In fact, almost all the vehicle manufacturing companies have plants in the US, but people still buy salvage cars. I, for one, I have even bought a salvage car for a friend in the US before. Okay, and there's totally nothing wrong with it. So that is why I have a problem with how things are going here in Ghana. Yeah.
Yes, but the difference in the automobile industry in the US and Ghana will be quite different. The United States in 2018 saw light vehicle sales reach 17.2 million units. That is the fourth straight year, Joshua, in 2018, that the sales reached or surpassed 17 million units. The entire West African sub-region is just about 450,000 units. So making the comparison of how, yes, these vehicles survived there and all of that, isn't it a bit, imbalanced?
You see, I think we are not speaking the truth to ourselves in this industry. I mean, the automobile industry. If we comparing Ghana, the customership, okay, of Ghanaians to that of the Americans, definitely, what is our population size? It's way lower than the America. And so you expect that definitely car sales in our country or in West Africa region will be lower as compared to that of North America. And so that comparison in itself, I don't think it's supposed to be compared that way.
I was bringing in that comparison because of the statement Kofi made, that in the United States, we have all of these big dealerships surviving and used cars and salvage vehicles being sold. So it goes to what you're saying, that they can survive because they have a market big enough to support all of these. Let
me give a background story of why all of a sudden these conventional engine-powered assemblers, automobile assemblers, are rushing to Africa. It's not only Ghana they are targeting.
Yeah.
They were in South Africa, they are there.
As a factory in Rwanda,
exactly.
VW.
Yeah, Rwanda. They proposed to go to Kenya and Nigeria with VW and Nissan, Toyota, but unfortunately Kenya, they are unable to break through the market as well as Nigeria. I'm saying this because the background story, which I know from Reuters News, that was published April 13th, 2019. You realize that these four companies that I've mentioned, BMW, Nissan, Toyota, and then VW, have come together to form what we call Association of African Automobile Manufacturers. And the reason why they came together about 5 years ago, to form this association was that they realized that their market, their major market, which happens to be the Europe, is being taken over by the EV revolution. That's the electric vehicle revolution. That is ongoing currently globally. And so they needed to reposition themselves to see where will our product now be accepted and patronized? And they realized that Africans are nowhere near hooking on this EV vehicles because of our power fluctuations, and two, because of our economic purchasing power. And so they came in here basically to make sure that they will lobby their way through and capture the African market, okay, to get the sales they want, so that this market will shove them against the trade tensions they are experiencing in both North America and the Europe, so that they will gradually move into the manufacturing of these electric vehicles as and when. So if we are here already, this is what we do. And if this is the space that you have that you can occupy, why do you want to still, if you say you encourage competition, push the other side away, that is the other stakeholders of this industry away, so that you can capitalize the whole market and take care of it?
Right. It's an interesting one, and I'm looking at this article that you referred to, Auto Giants Battle Used Car Dealers for Africa's Huge Market. Very interesting information here. But I came across an interesting fact that I want us to avert our minds to. In South Africa, South Africa accounts for 85% of all the used cars that come into the country, that come into the continent. 85%. That is only 1% of the 1 billion cars that are manufactured worldwide. Could it not be the case that the development and the industry that is set up in South Africa is supporting this, so that we only need to push for more industry, more in development, more jobs in the country to support this market?
Well, if you go down that article, you realize that there's a disadvantage there, which the South African already established assemblers there are facing now. After totally banning salvage cars importation in South Africa, they have realized that people are now switching. Instead of buying those brand new cars they expected them to buy, they are now still buying the home use cars, but this time around through abnormal ways and routes. The home use importers in South Africa are now used to importing cars which are being warehoused through bonded warehousing in their port, with the mind that they will ship these cars to the landlocked South African countries, which we know they don't have the sea, and so they will have to ship cars through South Africa. And so these cars will be in bonded warehouses in South Africa, only for custom officers to condone and connive with these importers to sneak these cars into South Africa itself. And so when you go down the write-up, you realize that they are not the cars they are assembling in South Africa are not receiving the kind of sales that they wanted. And so what do they do now? Since Europe is no-go area now, and because of the high tariffs that Trump has introduced, they can also be welcome in North America. And so what do they do now? They have to now spread their tentacles in Africa. But the same thing that they followed in South Africa couldn't work. And now the locals or the South Africans are buying home use cars through wrong approved channels, at the same time switching to other modes of transportation. Hence, the main motive of building or assembling cars in South Africa to increase their sales has been defeated.
Let me introduce Abdul Razak into the conversation. He's sales manager for Hyundai. Abdul Razak, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us here on The Pulse.
Good afternoon.
Great. So what do you make of the introduction of these large car manufacturers into the country, and what would it mean for the work that you do in your office?
Please come again. I didn't get the question.
I'm saying that the introduction of these large car manufacturers into the country, what would it mean for your work at Hyundai Motors?
Well, as Hyundai Motors, it's only going to increase the pace of competition, because with the choice of having different brands and models to compete in the small space like the Ghanaian economy. What is going to help Hyundai Motors is the relationship and other strategies that we feel we can put in place to ensure that we keep close to our customers and continue to offer them real value for money before to ensure that we can offer them real value for money.
Right. Abdul Razak, I'll crave your indulgence that there seems to be a bit of distortion in that feed there. We'll soon rectify that and come back to you. But we've been joined by Isaac Adongo, who is the member of the Trade and Industry Committee of Parliament. Mr. Adongo, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
And good afternoon to your listeners.
So the concern that has been raised by the Vehicle Asset Dealers Association is that the manufacturing of these new cars, the policy that is driving the manufacturing of these new cars would basically run them out of the market. Has this come to your attention in Parliament, and what has been done about it?
Yeah, of course, we are quite clear that in a country where we struggle to create jobs, the informal sector, obviously managed by our brothers who are in the automotive industry and who are importing second-hand vehicles, are going to lose their jobs. And it is not just them, but also the artisans and the people that are working at Abosokan, Swami Magazine, and all of those that bring in spare parts to feed this huge industry are going to also be unemployed and will lose their jobs. And that is a major concern. But beyond that also, the level of concessions that we are making in order to bring in these plants are enormous. We are basically foregoing import duties on these vehicles that ordinarily would have imported from abroad, and the state would have had to rely on the duties that are paid on these vehicles. We're going to lose that revenue. Apart from losing that revenue also, we also know that a large segment of the Ghanaian working class do not have the capacity to buy $20,000, $30,000 vehicles, and have had to rely on these imported second-hand vehicles. They won't be able to have access to these vehicles anymore, and would need to raise a lot of loans in order to buy this. So technically what we are doing is that we are sacrificing our revenue for national development. We are sacrificing jobs of Ghanaians and handing over those jobs to foreigners and creating more social dislocation without any alternative solutions to deal with the intended problems. And I feel that as a country, we need to look at this policy once again, because I'm really not seeing the win for Ghanaians.
So what are these alternative solutions, Mr. Adongo? If you say we have to look at these policies again, what changes would you have us apply?
In the first place, we didn't need to make those concessions. If those vehicles that were coming in are more competitive than those that are coming from second-hand vehicles, the market will automatically direct consumers to those vehicles. Why would you want to protect the market for them at the expense of your own citizenry and at the expense of your own revenues that you need to develop this country? And so for me, we would have had to allow the market to operate. And if they didn't find it attractive to come here because they are not competitive, it means clearly that they were not necessary for our country. But the fact that we have had to make sacrifices, including creating unemployment for our own people and taking away businesses that our own people are doing in order to protect foreign entities that are coming here, clearly that is not a proper allocation of resources. And we have actually taken the wrong policy choice on this matter.
So to make it clear, your solution, Mr. Adongo, would be my way or the highway. Compete with the local market as it is, or take your business elsewhere in the subcontinent.
Exactly so, because if you do any analysis, you'll come to realize that the people of Ghana are the losers for it. Because one, for those who have to rely on these second-hand vehicles that are cheaper, they won't have them, and they will be struggling to buy these new vehicles, and they just don't have the capacity to do so. To the people who are servicing that industry, and a large chunk of them, you find them in Abosokan, you find them in our little corners, you find them in Swami and all those places across the country. They basically are going to go out of business.
Right.
And the question is, for a country that struggles to create jobs, is this the way to go? And I believe that if these plants were as competitive as they claim they are, they should be able to enter here and compete and outcompete those people.
Right. Let me take your thoughts a bit. Kofi, I'll come to you and I'll ask you what you feel the alternatives are, or whether or not we can afford as a nation to watch these places go. I was looking at the numbers in Rwanda, and in under a year, over 1,000 jobs are going to be created by this VW plant, which is being set up there. And so if you're going to look at the multiplier effects for Ghana, you could expect more for more plants. But before that, Abdul Razak has joined us again. You are on the formalized end of car dealerships in the country. Do you have any expectations of government now that the market is going to be more competitive? Abdul, you have muted your microphone, so if you can unmute yourself for just a moment so that we can hear you.
Hello? Yeah.
Yes, you're live now. Please go ahead.
Thank you. What I'm saying is that we will need government support in terms of tax cuts, because when these giant automotive brands begin to troop into the country to establish an assembly plants, they will have advantage over pricing against us, because we will import and pay duty, so our price will be higher. And more so, as it has always been observed, people do not have that capacity to buy brand new cars, paying over $20,000 or $25,000 to purchase a brand new car. For instance, Hyundai here, the cheapest car we sell is around $12,000. And $12,000, if you multiply by the prevailing rates, is about 70,000 to 80,000 Ghana cedis. And that price could even get to a better home use vehicle, like an SUV. So, comparatively, we'll be at the losing end. Unless, of course, government comes in with some tax reduction and other subsidies to support those in the formal sector of automobile business.
Right. Just a quick one on what you said about how those who are going to manufacture in the country may have it better off. We have found in a number of other industries, like the plastics industry, the cable manufacturing industry, the furniture industry, that goods imported from economies like China are actually cheaper, despite the import duties, because first of all, labor is cheaper in those economies, cost of credit is cheaper in those economies, taxes are lower in those economies than they are here, and cost of power and what have you. So you find that vehicles or commodities manufactured locally are often more expensive than those we import. It
varies, because in the automobile business, all the cars that we bring are manufactured from Korea. And even though labor may be cheaper in Korea, it is much cheaper in Ghana than the labor cost in Korea or China. And we do not have that economic purchasing power by most of our targeted audience or targeted groups who we want to go into buying cars from us. So definitely when for instance, I heard the VW have even started producing on commercial basis and have given prices to the Ghanaian markets. And I hear the Jetta itself is even sold around $22,000, which is a bit cheaper compared to our Hyundai Elantra. Our Hyundai Elantra is around $23,000, even at a discounted price. And if the VW Jetta, which is deemed to be an European brand, and is also seen to be a little bit prestigious over the Hyundai brand because of the German Asian team, German Korean team, people will say, okay, if it's $1,000 difference between Hyundai Elantra and VW Jetta, why don't I buy the VW Jetta, which is a German brand? Because we all have the perception that German cars are better than the other vehicles coming from other regions.
Interesting. So interesting. Very interesting thoughts there. And yeah, it does paint quite the picture for us. So let me go to Kofi, who has rejoined us. Kofi, the solution that Mr. Adongo, the Member of Parliament, had was, look, tell them our rules or let them walk away. But realistically, can we afford to watch all of these industries set up somewhere else in the subcontinent other than Ghana?
Thank you, Daniel. If I get you right, you're asking if we can watch these assembly plants set up outside Ghana instead of in Ghana, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you ask me, what I'll say is, like I said from the beginning, the move by government is a step in the right direction. I have a problem with the execution. Okay, now what I think is, do not ban completely salvage cars, because I mean, it's not everybody in Ghana who can afford these brand new cars. Okay, it's ideal, yes, for us all to get brand new cars and drive brand new cars and reduce emissions and all that. But trust me, if you are going to force everybody in Ghana at the moment to buy a brand new car, it is definitely not going to work. So I would say, let these guys come in, let them start manufacturing, let them start selling. They'll get people to buy, but keep salvage cars coming in. Now, from my understanding, I mean, the whole idea behind banning salvage cars is to kind of reduce the number of, I would say, bad cars or cars in very bad condition that are coming into the country. But if you say don't bring any car which is not a clean title, I think that is absolutely wrong, because you need to properly assess the condition of the vehicle that is coming in. The fact that it doesn't have a clean title written on the title doesn't mean it's in a very bad condition. And that is the responsibility of the DVLA to do. They are supposed to ensure that the cars that we drive in Ghana are roadworthy. So if I import a salvage car into the country and I repair it, and it goes, before I can register the car, of course, DVLA has to inspect it. Okay. So if it goes to DVLA and DVLA inspects this car and passes it and gives me a registration number to be able to use the car in this country, right, then it means the car is in good condition.
Interesting. Okay, so very interesting analysis there about the DVLA sticker. Very interesting analysis there about the DVLA sticker. Thanks so much, Kofi. I want to bring in some of our viewers, and let me just inform you that we reached out to the Ministry of Trade and Industry. I was given a full understanding that they had agreed to join this conversation. Unfortunately, they have not done that, but you have been sending us a number of your messages on social media and via WhatsApp, as you can see the number on your screen. I'll read a few of them. Joshua is here. He's with the Vehicle Asset Dealers Association. Kofi Bonsu is here. He's Wheel Hub Automotive. He's a vehicle importer and automotive cosmetic professional. There's also Isaac Adongo, who is a member of parliament in the Trade and Industry Committee. And we have Abdul Razak, who is sales manager for Hyundai. Any question for any of my guests will be answered. Maxwell Nambe says, please, if I may know, the salvage cars with destroyed airbags, are they repaired before sale to the consumers? This is right down your alley. Joshua, do you repair the salvage cars with airbags, with destroyed airbags, before you sell to the consumers?
Yes, we do.
Right. A simple answer there. Hello, are there Toyota cars assembled? What's the price range? A small car for the ladies is what you said, and you didn't add your name. Well, I think I can give that answer with a little research that we have. Oh, Ms. Adongo is here. Ms. Adongo, I read that Toyota is also expected to come from the work that you're doing in the Trade and Industry Committee. When are they expected to come? And what kind of cars will they be assembling?
That can better be answered by the ministry. But what I do know is that all of them are asking for protection of the market. And the protection of the market that they're asking for is to eliminate competition from second-hand vehicles in the market. Right. And so we are basically just saying that all who are selling second-hand vehicles should lose their jobs in order to protect and provide a market that will make it possible for people to assemble new vehicles here. Right. I think that is a very wrong move.
Right. So, well, the clarity there is that they are expected to come, and from the reading that I've done, it was supposed to happen this year. I know the COVID-19 pandemic has changed a lot of things in the economy. Now, the Toyota assembly would help Ghanaian workers. I think this can boost our economy. Mankind from Elembele adds that we must retain Nanado for doing this. Richard Ajete from Kumasi says, can the average income earner buy it? Can the average income earner buy it? You want to know how much the Hyundai Palisade is? I'm Lobik. Okay, let me take that question to Abdul Razak. Abdul Razak, how much is the Palisade? And if you look at the cars coming in, can the average income earner buy them?
The Palisade is going for $70,000. That's the showroom price, but it is negotiable up to $65,000. But case by case, we will also look further into the discounts of the pricing to ensure that any prospective and interested buyer will have the chance to own a Palisade. Yeah.
Now, you have done some price analysis of these brands coming into the country. Abdul Razak, can you say that an average income earner can buy them?
Which of the cars? Any of the cars or the
Any
Palisade?
of the cars coming in? No, not the. I know the Palisade is a high-end vehicle. Yeah. But for any of the cars that you've described, your VW Jetta, you know, these cars that are going to be manufactured in the country, you sell cars for a living. Are these cars for average income earners?
Well, you see, there are also several divisions in the middle income earners group. You know, some middle level income earners are in the banks and insurance companies and the oil and gas company, where they get access to auto loans. So for them, yes, we've done a lot of businesses with them. But the average person who doesn't earn that much will have it difficult to buy a brand new car that is worth over $20,000.
Okay. My name is Sam at Ablekuma. Thank you very much, Abdul Razak. My concern is that one thing I think we should also consider is that the automobile industry is coming to Ghana's market wouldn't be in a position to serve Ghanaians. Fact is, if I were to buy a 2018 model of a vehicle in today's 2020 manufacturing year, will the industry be able to produce this vehicle I look to buy? Say a 2017 Toyota Corolla. Please, let's understand that the ban on importation of second-hand salvaged vehicles is rather not here to help us at all, especially the middle or lower class working citizens. Interesting points there. Daniel Nyameche from Kintampo Centers 1. So that was not a question. He says, what is government doing to support Kantanka Automobile Company, who is a proud Ghanaian and could create more jobs to absorb many Ghanaian youth in the country? That's your message there. Most car manufacturers pay their workers well. Whilst full-time positions are usually considered, the most thanks to robust benefits packages, all workers are usually given a decent wage. Manufacturing as a whole, you didn't add your name to that one. This one says manufacturing as a whole tends to pay better than retail industries, restaurant, customer service jobs. This is because they need skilled people who can think critically and solve problems. There's also a good deal of safety training and other considerations. So mankind from Elembele and Kofi, and you I understand are an engineer by training, if my memory serves me well, Kofi. So that question of skilled labor and there being an opportunity for skilled labor like you working in the manufacturing industry, that must also be considered, yes?
Yes, definitely it must be considered. I mean, this is definitely an opportunity for Ghanaian engineers and professionals within the automotive industry to actually get some employment. And I would definitely advocate for some training. In fact, these companies should definitely make room for training for our engineers and our automotive professionals so that they can also work with them. And I think definitely, yes, that must be considered.
I would like to know if we can still ship in clean title vehicles that are less than 10 years old. Raymond Abil watching us live from Houston, Texas. Good afternoon, Raymond. Or well, whichever time it is in Houston, Texas, that is. Joshua,
sure.
Clean titles less than 10 years old, can they be shipped in?
Yes, they can be shipped in.
Okay. Good afternoon, JoyNews. In our country, very few people earn above 2,500 Ghana cedis a month. What is the assurance of many Ghanaians buying a car above 50K or 50,000? Those manufacturers, will they be producing new backdated cars that will be cheaper, or they will only produce new ones? Is there any possibility of influence from those companies in the passing of that act of parliament? Joshua here says they heavily influence this policy.
Yeah.
Interesting. Albert from Kuforidia, that's your answer. How many Ghanaian workers can afford to buy? I'm getting a lot of this question. A lot of different variants of this question. Sure. How can we afford this? How many can we do this? Let me, Joshua, you want to make a point on that?
Yes, I wanted to make a point because, you know, as I earlier said, that every society is economically stratified. There's no way all of a sudden, because of this upcoming assemblies into Ghana, then all Ghanaians will equally become rich overnight and then can afford servicing a loan for a brand new car. Not at all. That is what society, that is one of the fundamentals of every society. Okay. It is stratified. Okay. So the market as accordingly is also segmented. And so you target your group and then you supply what you want to supply to them.
Abdul, what would you say is the size of the brand new car market in Ghana? How many units on the average would you say are moved in a year? Can you give me that figure? Abdul, sorry, your mic is muted again.
For Hyundai, last year we were able to sell almost 460 vehicles to the consuming public. And the total car sales for the brand new market, the car market is, I'm not too sure about the figure, but it's way more than 5,000. Because I understand Toyota alone does almost 2,000 every year because of their pickups and their Land Cruisers. So last year, the brand new market potential, brand new car market potential will be around 5,000 every year.
Okay, that's north of 5,000, but not 6,000.
About 5,000 units, yeah.
Okay. So it's a very small figure, sure. if you ask me. It's a very humble market. And if you look at the capacities that we are talking about, VW was going to do 5,000 cars a year in Rwanda. And that almost covers the new car market. But what about the salvage? Okay, Prince from Dansuma saying this one. He says, the gentleman from Hyundai is very honest. I like his answer to if their cars are affordable. Prince from Dansuma. You pick very honest people. So Abdul Razak, that's a feather in your cap there. Perhaps you'd like to gift Prince with a. Perhaps you'd like to gift Prince with a brand new Elantra.
Well, let him come to the showroom. He might see something that will suit him well.
Okay, Kofi, tell me, you import cars and you sell them. What's the average price that your regular 2,000 to 3,000 Ghana cedi earner would buy? Do I still have Kofi with me? Okay, I think that's a question. Whilst Kofi fixes his sound, I think that's a question that you can pick up. Okay, so Kofi is on. Kofi, what would you say is a regular price for an average Ghanaian?
So most of the orders we get are in the region of maybe 40,000 to about 50,000 max.
40,000, 50,000 cedis, right?
Cedis, yes, cedis.
Yes.
And if you are talking about dollars, this is less than $10,000.
Yes. I just want to get the exact. Joshua, what's your number?
Number as in
average car price, Ghana.
Oh, well, we have the lowest now on our market is 19,000 Ghana cedis. That's the Daewoo Mates.
The lowest, but I want average.
Average. Let's give ourselves 35,000 to 48,000 Ghana cedis.
35,000 to 48,000 Ghana cedis, and we had 40 to 50,000 from Kofi. So let me say 40,000 Ghana cedis. 40,000 Ghana cedis is $6,900.
Sure.
If I'm going to put an average in the middle there. $6,922 is how much you out there, Prince from Dansuma, he says that's how much you would, on the average, shell out for a vehicle. We are looking at $22,000 to $23,000 for some of the cars coming in.
Sure.
And that is quite the tall order. So I guess it's a choice. But listen, and I'm going to pass it round. Isn't it down to a choice that the buyer would have to make? Abdul Razak. Unfortunately, you're still muted.
It's also a matter of choice. If it wasn't a matter of choice, those selling the brand new cars in the formal sector wouldn't have the chance to make sales. So we have people who continuously want to use brand new cars. So they bring in their old vehicles for trading, and they pay the difference, take a brand new car. So it's basically, as you are saying, boiling down on individual choice and preferences.
Right, and this one is for Kofi Bonsu-Adayeboah, who calls himself Kebe Adayeboah, I must say. So this person knows you very well, Kebe. He says, these are the points. One, car manufacturers must team up with the banks to give out loans that are reasonable. Interest rates should be around T-bill rates. That's about 20% now. No, they have actually gone way lower.
Sure.
Treasury bills are now
it's
south
low
of
20.
15%.
It's 15, 14.
Yeah, 15 to 14%. So that's 15% interest rate. Warranty must cover any accidents or serious defects with cars. Young mechanical engineers from our universities like Kofi here must be trained so they can take over their white counterparts, or you want to say foreign counterparts. Cars must be priced in cities. Prices of the cars must drop with time, just like how it does in the West. Imported salvage cars should not be banned overnight. Exceptions can be made. From my namesake, Daniel in East Airport. You can keep the messages coming. The number is on the bottom of your screen. Let's hear your voice. I want to give a final word to all of my guests here. Can we live together with these manufacturers realistically?
Sure, why not? In other parts of the globe, that is how it is. That's how the automotive industry is. We live side by side, and then we have targeted and segmented market. So you just have to concentrate on the people you want to supply your products or your vehicles to, and then make it competitive enough with your pricing, and also make sure health-wise, and also safety-wise, it's okay for consumption.
Right. Kofi, your final thoughts?
Yes, so my final thoughts are, just like he said, bring in the guys who manufacture or assemble the brand new cars, but also keep the salvage cars in. What government can do if they want to regulate it is to, we look at this policy and properly define which car should come in. Of course, I won't agree with a car that has, the frame off or, in a very bad condition. So, like I was even earlier saying about the DVLA, it is for them to inspect the vehicles and ensure that the vehicles that are coming are in the best of conditions. But completely banning them, I think, is a no-no. Thank you.
Mr. Adongo, listen to this one. It says, I don't agree with Adongo. Banks and insurance companies have to form agencies to sell the cars. Second-hand dealers also have to form dealerships. It is obvious the new manufacturers are not looking at the Ghana market. Instead, they may be considering the West African market. Atongo from Mamprobi Bamboy. Mr. Adongo, your response in your final words.
Well, but don't forget that we are giving them a lot of incentives to do this. They are not going to be paying import duty on the materials that they bring in here. The ones who are importing the second-hand vehicles are paying the import duties to oil our economy. Don't forget that the number of people who can be engaged, and especially with the specialization, are limited with these plants. And in fact, these plants, if they are state-of-the-art, are a lot expected to be more using robotics and other such facilities, artificial intelligence, whereas we have a lot of our people who cannot go into this sector, and we are denying them. But also banning the importation of these salvage vehicles also means we are limiting the choices that are available to Ghanaians. And we need to open the frontier of choices for Ghanaians. If Ghanaians find that the newly manufactured cars are within their pocket, I can assure you they will go and buy them. But we don't need to do anything to further protect the market just because we are bringing in these people, particularly given the income structure of the average Ghanaian.
Isaac Adongo, thank you very much for joining us. I'll give the final word to Abdul Razak.
What?
Abdul Razak, your final statement.
Yeah, thank you very much. I believe we can all compete in harmony in the space. Just that maybe in the long run, some bigger animals will be eating the smaller animals. It's like a welfare in the jungle. But I also believe that, like Mr. Adongo rightly said, this car assembling plants that has been established in Ghana, firstly by VW, and I'm sure Toyota will also take suit. They will target the sub-region markets. Because, you know, one thing about assembling and manufacturing is that you will have to produce more. You will have to produce more because in a day, you could produce like 100 cars. If you produce 100 cars and the local market cannot support the production rates, it means that you are not going to survive yourself. So part of their strategy is also to export some of these assembled cars that are being done in Ghana to the other countries in the region so that they could actually have the full benefits of their production capacity. And by so doing, I'm sure we can all have our cake to bite.
Thank you so much, Abdul Razak. We can all have our cake to bite. That's a good statement to end the discussion on. My name is Daniel Dazi. You're still live on The Pulse. Stay with us. There's more after this. Still live on The Pulse. Now, Multipack Limited, manufacturer of 5-star drinks, has named Ghanaian filmmaker Jackie Appiah as the brand ambassador for its Perla mineral water. The move, according to managers of the firm, is to make the products affordable and accessible to clients. Jackie Appiah is also expected to win humanitarian support from this partnership for the company. The target of the ambassadorial position is to make Perla water the preferred choice on the Ghanaian market. Now, the MD of Multipack Limited is Hassan Jaba.
Waters is all what have giving back from the society by extending helping hands to the children who need help, and then by a way or others. This is the more important, to support and then to help the children who need help. This is the more we care, and then for the way forward. Jackie, we have seen her how she's successful with the other brand, and then especially with Kaiser brand. So we can see her as a brand ambassador. We can see her as the ideal person for Perla mineral water.
The newly named Perla mineral water ambassador Jackie Appiah indicated that the partnership will help get support for the needy in the country.
Justice in Ghana and beyond. I'm happy with the humanitarian work that you guys do, the company does. Watching the video clips, it touched my heart because, as you all know, every December 5th and other days that I don't bring out, I do charity work, and we always reach out to people, the less privileged. We look for people who are disadvantaged, and I'm happy that both of us have the same interest. So, yes, so I believe that we will work together, and thank you for choosing me.
Right, it's live on The Pulse here on the Joy News channel. My name is Daniel Dazi, and this is where we end the bulletin.